Hey, we're chasing records, and you're watching On the Record. This episode, the guest is Rachael Frankruyter.
And if you're listening on Spotify, you can't see us drinking on this podcast, but we are drinking some South River Brewing Co. Brew. So don't forget, if you place an order, $50 or more, that is free shipping. They're also doing some good promos. So check them out on IG, on Twitter. Go down to their website and enjoy some beer. Enjoy the pod.
SouthRiverBrewing.ca. There you go.
All right. We're here with another podcast with Rachael. How's it going this evening?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good. Is it Frankruyter? Is that right?
Frankruyter. Yes, you got it right. Not many people get it right like that.
Really?
So.
I'm an advanced name reader. I don't know if you've known that.
Dutch. It's a little confusing. So yeah.
Well, no, you got it. How are you? From London? You're not from London, but you're in London.
Yeah. I'm from Stratford, so I'm pretty close, but I'm in London right now at school. So
awesome.
Yeah.
How's COVID school going?
Interesting for sure. I'm in a music program, so lots of online choir rehearsals and singing with masks and singing with plexiglass and that sort of thing. But it's
so weird. So weird.
Strange. Yeah, for sure. We all adjusted though, which was good. So yeah.
We had a guest, Serena Haggerty, on here, and she did a show. We talk about it all the time, but it was a local London show. What was it called, Nate? What was the show called?
It was called Revive Live. It was done at London Music Hall.
Right, Revive Live.
With Texas King was there too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they had plexiglass between everybody, and we watched it online. They were at the London Music Hall, but no one was in the crowd, obviously. And it was so weird to see that, like a band playing, and they're like in their own cubicle, and so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. So I can only imagine what like a music school is like, right?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And I've done in Stratford. There's a couple bars and restaurants that have still done live music, but they've just had like a curtain sort of thing.
So like a shower curtain, essentially.
Yeah, like a shower curtain, so it's clear and they can kind of see us through it. But that's been an interesting experience too. But it's nice that they're still able to do live music and that sort of thing. They're kind of finding ways around it. But
yeah, it's true. And I think I've seen just recently some of the local breweries, even in London, start to have some single performers on. Same idea though, having some sort of barrier up as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so weird.
It's such a weird time that we're living in, and for how much longer too, because the numbers are just on the back.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't realize, like, I was even thinking like we don't even know next year, like might be the same thing next year, but at least we're starting to get used to it a little bit, so we can just work with it and everything.
You're graduating in 2023.
Yes.
So by then, hopefully. Yeah. That's what I keep saying.
I'm hoping my last year is at least like a little bit normal, because we have a lot of performances and that sort of thing at the end. So hoping I can have those, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, let us know. We'll watch that Zoom performance if we can.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully that's not the case anymore. But man, oh man. What's for the performance? Is it just vocals or is it instrumental as well?
Yeah, so I'm in a classical music program, so I'm singing like opera sort of stuff. So it's just myself and a pianist, and we do like a final kind of recital sort of thing, and I get graded on it. So
that's cool. Awesome. Your voice is wicked, and
thank you so much.
We're going to jump right into talking about your EP, I think, because we have a few. Actually, Nate and I discussed one of your songs before you jumped on, and we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, for today. Your first track. So I listened to your EP, front to back, and your first track. I hesitate to say this because I don't know how you're gonna take it, but it was very Taylor Swift-esque.
Thank you. I'm
good.
The biggest
Perfect.
Taylor
Good.
Swift fan. It's a good
awesome.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I was like,
Andrew was really nervous about.
I was like, what if they're like, oh, I don't like Taylor Swift. Shit.
I know.
And I was like, oh no.
Controversial. No, I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge fan. So
awesome. So it was Fragile, and when I heard Fragile out the gate, I was like, I'm getting that vibe. And maybe you talk about that, but like, do you like country music?
So I definitely listen to more folk music, which is kind of funny because I know there's definitely kind of country-ish aspects that just kind of end up in my music, and I am a Taylor Swift fan too, so I'm sure that influences it as well. But I listen to a lot of folk sort of music. So
who would be some of the people that you listen to, like more?
Yeah, so I listen to Adrienne Lenker is like my favorite musician, I think, of all time. But yeah, she's a really great folk musician, and she's part of a band called Big Thief as well. But she's really fantastic. And Phoebe Bridgers, I'm a pretty big Phoebe Bridgers fan as well. But,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you like Taylor Swift's Folklore album?
Yes, I
love. Do you like it?
I do. Yeah, I think I preferred Evermore over the two of them. But I loved Folklore as well. Yeah, it was really good.
I agree with you. I've heard both albums, and I like that the song with Bon Iver, man. That song, I love that song. Not on Evermore. Sorry, it's with I can't remember what it's called. Exile.
Yeah,
Exile. I that song. Even before it was like a big single, I thought the song was incredible. It's
so fantastic.
Have you heard Bon Iver before?
Yes, that was actually my first kind of when I got interested in folk music. That was the first person.
So Bon Iver. Yeah.
Bon Iver is where I kind of started years ago, like when I was in middle school, when I started listening to Bon Iver.
They're incredible, and his voice. And the reason I like Exile so much is because whenever I heard Bon Iver, he had that very like high voice. And when he rocked that low in that song, I was like super impressed. I couldn't believe the range that guy has.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
And we did it live on the Disney Plus Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah,
incredible.
Really
Yeah, he's so good. So I don't know how we got on that. I can't remember what the question.
No, just where the influences come
from. Right on. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I got distracted. I think about the song in my head. Sorry. But so on your EP, my favorite track was Risky. It was my favorite track on like I loved it. But Nate, I thought like, oh, that reminds me of Taylor Swift, but Nate reminded him of. Go ahead.
I said Fleetwood Mac. It had a bit of a Fleetwood Mac vibe.
Oh, that's a huge compliment. Thank you.
I just like it was just right when I listened. It was like, oh, it's got a Fleetwood Mac vibe, and even just the vocals too.
Wow, thank you so much.
So I wasn't sure if there's any influences there or not.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I find when I was writing this EP, I wrote it a lot during lockdown, I guess, in 2020, the first one. But I was listening to first lockdown.
So sad.
But but I was listening to a lot of new people that I was kind of just discovering. Like there was one musician out of Hamilton named Ellis that I just kind of found, and I was listening to her a lot. And so I found that like I didn't even really know where all of the music kind of came from because I was listening to a lot of different sort of stuff when I wrote it. But that's a huge compliment. I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I think sometimes that just happens, right? It just filters into your own music, not subconsciously too. It's not
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Like that, people said that about us. Or like, oh, it's very 90s about our music, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't meant to be that way, or necessarily it wasn't planned. It just kind of went that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of neat. How do you find? So are you? Don't mean to jump on this in a way already, but Spotify, are you using like is that where you found the artist Ellis?
Yes, I'm using Spotify. So Ellis I actually found through it's one of my friend's cousins. So he recommended it to me, so that was how I found Ellis. But I use Spotify a lot, and I always look at the recommended artists and that sort of thing. So that's how I discover everything for sure.
It's funny because Andrew and I were just talking about it before you jumped on. We were having a debate of when Spotify started because we were just talking about the age difference and just era of where we grew up, that Spotify wasn't around necesserally, or at least we didn't think it was.
Let her guess. Let her guess.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I started using it. I think like I always look at the top songs of your year playlist, and I think my first one was like 2016. But I'm sure it was around for a lot longer than that. But
so that's like
you're right.
Little Spotify history lesson for everyone. But you're bang on. 2016 is when it really started to make like a push, where they kind of had the free trials and everything for everyone, and was unlimited listening. So it makes sense for all of us to have like that first one. And then of course it was paid prescription. But yeah, it was 2006. Is that what we said, Andrew?
That's when they
that was when it was founded.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is
ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
God.
It's incredible. And it's incredible to see like how it's shaped all of us in terms of distributing music too.
Well, yeah, like it's just, that's kind of the only, you know, like as far as CDs and everything, like I think making CDs is super cool, and I would love to do that with my EP and everything, but it just like, it seems like the push is really for streaming services now.
Because if you make a CD, you're gonna have to make, you're gonna have to have album art, which is like something that's missing. And remember you used to get a book of CDs, you go through it, had like the lyrics, and it was so cool. But you have to, if you're gonna do that, if you go that route, you're gonna have to, it has to be, that professional touch has to be there. So your CD has to have like the imprint on it, like. There's just so much to go through, and then now cars don't.
You also have to say you're gonna have to find a car that. Plays
cars don't even have it anymore, right? And laptops don't have it anymore, so it's like it's we just saw it die. True. And I remember I spent thousands of dollars at recording studios recording maybe I think 5 songs, and it was like I think $1,000, maybe $4,000. I think it's $1,000 each, and there's 4 of us in the band. And then the band broke up, and then we had this 5-track CD that we never really handed out. It was like, what a waste of fucking time, right? But that's what makes it so easy now, right? Like we're just talking about like you're already on Spotify and you're already like out there, and that's great, because when I was your age, I was just like recording on a little 8-track and trying to burn CDs. Like someone should listen to this, So it's like so cool to see like you're in the perfect time to just put it out there.
Yeah, I feel very, very lucky. Like I just feel like it's so easy now to get your music out there in some ways. Like in a lot of ways it's not, but in a lot of ways it's probably a lot easier now, because you can promote on your social media, and people can just find you on social media too that way, and just you can decide to put something on streaming and put it up like a month before and it'll come out, right? So
do you find speaking of that, because you're right, like I think it's easy to put it out there, doesn't mean though that people are going to listen, and that's what Andrew and I obviously have found, and I'm sure you have found too, is trying to get your monthly listeners and to get people to come to you, right? How do you get them? So by promoting on social media is one, and we've talked about it before, but like, how do you get them to make that next click? So how sure it's there, they like it, they see it, you have these hundreds of views, but then how do you get them to make that next click to go and start to listen?
Exactly.
That's kind of the hardest. That's kind of the hardest part. If anyone's got the secret of that, let us all know. So do you find though, when you go to play a show, do you have like a bump? Have you ever looked at your statistics to see if there's a bump in plays at all?
Yeah, I haven't too much. Like, I found, so I put out my first EP right before I went to university, and it was a little bit more of like an experiment, and I knew I was writing, and my old music teacher, who's also my producer, kind of helped me along the way of just like getting used to sharing my music with everybody. So I wasn't playing as many shows and that sort of thing since I went off to school, and it just kind of got busy, and it wasn't until this EP that I started kind of trying to play more shows and that sort of thing. But with COVID, it's obviously been a bit difficult. So it depends. Like I play a lot of restaurants and that sort of thing, and patios when that's possible.
Or when it's warm enough.
Yeah. So
now that our igloos are melting for all of our American friends.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be interesting for sure once I start. Like hopefully I'll be able to kind of go out and play this music soon somewhere instead of just online. I've done a couple live streams and that sort of thing. But it'll be interesting to see if that kind of boosts stuff a little bit. But
it's always something
you would imagine.
I would hope. Well, that's what we talked about too. We said like normally you're gonna have, for a new artist or anyone that doesn't have a whole lot out there, you're going to have, if your single's not even being played on the radio, you go to play a live show. And before you could even get your music on, you wouldn't be able to hear it again. At least now, if somebody hears it, they have the option to go home right away and listen to it again. I know that's happened to me listening to like opening acts I'd never heard of.
For sure.
Such a cool experience to be like, oh man, I got to go check them out. And that you can, like, right away, you can go and check them out. You can, on the way home from the concert, put them on and hear them again. You don't have to try and, like, unfortunately, you don't have to go and buy that CD at the table, right? And then find somewhere to play it. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in that way, in that respect, it's kind of nice that all the music is accessible, but then at the same time, you've got to try and get people to want to get there and listen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a learning process for sure. I'm still kind of new to everything and getting used to it all. So it'll be interesting to see what I can learn from it and as the years go by and that sort of thing. But
yeah. So do you use TikTok a lot? Are you on TikTok?
So I've just started a TikTok account, actually. I had a TikTok account and I didn't post on it. I just would scroll. aimlessly. But I've started posting on TikTok now.
Awesome.
So you can find me on TikTok. I'm starting to grow that because that seems like a fun place to put your music.
Oh, we don't get it. We don't get it at all.
We don't understand. We're on.
We're on. Our posts are so hit and miss, and it's so weird. We talk about it all the time with everybody, but like we had a post that had like 700 views overnight, and then we've had posts that had like 2 views, and it's just like we don't understand. We have no idea what's going on. Like just like
I don't understand the algorithm at all, and it just seems like there's can be like one post that will just blow up, and somebody can be like famous from one post, and then that's kind of it. But so it is interesting for sure. Everybody seems to be putting their music on there. Like I find a lot of music on TikTok too, but it's interesting how the algorithm works. I'm not too sure, but
and it's funny you say that, like scrolling aimlessly on it, and it seems to be endless. But there is one. It's funny that you said there was a guy, and it was all. I mean, we're all Canadian and obviously close by, or all in the same city right now. But even Stratford, not that far away. He came out of his house and he was like in a lumberjack sweater. I don't know if you saw it, and it's like springtime in Canada, and of course it was all the cliches of like it's 10 degrees, so he's putting on shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops, right? And I think I saw it was like I want to say it was like 700,000 views.
Shit, we have done that. That's so easy. So
but then and of course I was like, so then I was like, okay, let's see what his like. Is it viral? Like, does he have this many views? And sure enough, there's like ones that are like in the 3,000s. And I'm like,
wow.
So it's clear, like you said, it's just hit or miss. Whatever goes viral, whatever people seem to want to enjoy that day, it can take off. And he had like, I think there was another one in there. Like but I think Andrew and I were talking about it. And I think it's almost you have to post at least something every day.
And then I think you have to be posting pretty regularly. And then people will like follow hopefully after that.
Right?
Fucking wild, judging mental. I can't handle it. I literally, man, I went to, I don't know why, but like, you say you scroll and whatever the hell. I've seen some live feeds where people are like live, and I saw a girl yesterday, and I shit you not, she was cooking, and she wasn't even saying it. She was just like, she was dicing and shit, and she was just like. And she had like 40 people watching her, and I was like, but then I was one of them. I was like, but what the hell are we all watching? Like, why is that happening?
Why am I watching this cooking?
It was
How did I get
here? It's just like everything. So that was like my moment where I'm like, I'll never understand this, because I was like, she has to go live and just why I'm doing nothing and see what happens. Like, I don't understand, but people watch.
It's so crazy, and like to me, it reminds me a lot of like YouTube probably years ago. Like people would probably go on YouTube and search up a lot of different things on YouTube, but now it's just like everybody likes the short little videos and just keep scrolling. But
well, and it's funny talking about TikTok, and on this subject, I started watching a guy from, I believe he was in the US. Now I feel bad because he was but he did the drip like artwork in water. The hydro drip. And he's doing a live thing, and there I am. Now I'm looking, and I think there was at least there was like 1,300 people watching it, so I didn't feel as bad.
Wild.
But the reason I got onto the live one is because I saw obviously one statement is it just came up, and he was dipping prosthetic casts and items for kids for free. So I was like, oh, that guy, and it showed, in the button, it's like live. And I was like, oh, I'll click on it. I want to see it. And he was doing it and just talking about it and all that. And I was like, man, oh man, like it's just, and I have no idea why that came up. Like, have no idea.
Or why you watch it,
or why,
it's in
and then
your history.
all of a sudden there it is, and now I'm glued to it. Like, I'm like, oh, I got to see how he's doing this. Like, this is so cool, right?
Or why you followed him, or why you'll watch it again later. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Why now my search history is like how to hydro drip. I want to make, and he's like dipping shoes, like, and I've heard about it before, and I've seen some things before on it, but like like you said, I think it was on YouTube. It wasn't on TikTok because I wasn't on it. So yeah, it's crazy.
What an exciting life. What an exciting life.
But I think Rachel, you kind of nailed it though, and we've talked about this before about how everything is so instant. So TikTok isn't like, you know, it's that whole like instant 30 seconds to a minute flip. And you're right, you've got the music behind it, which I think is key. So you can, if you have something that goes viral or somebody else that has something go viral with your music behind it, right? That's huge. So I don't know. There's obviously something there because it's huge.
I'm not sure. So. Yeah. It seemed to like blow up pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
Like kind of out of nowhere, all of a sudden I was just hearing about TikTok, but
yeah.
Well, it used to be
a night course.
It used to be Vine, right? Wasn't that what it used to
Vines,
be?
Vines,
around the house. So I remember though, like I remember that, and I remember that always would be something that would go viral, right? But and then when they changed it to TikTok, I remember people like, "Oh, this is never gonna fly." Well, guess what?
I remember that.
They said the Chinese government was watching you and shit. Remember that?
Yeah, that's what it was.
They said they're taking all your data and shit. Yeah, that was like that negative press somehow led to everyone in the world having it, which is like hilarious.
Yeah. I forgot that was even a thing.
Right?
I totally forgot about that.
Under the rug. Yeah, it's crazy.
It exploded. Well, I guess that's what they say, you know, sometimes any press is good press, right?
Yeah. The Chinese government's spying on you. 1.8 billion downloads. So going back to your EP, sorry. We go on a wide right when we should have went left. How did you record it? And did you use any of your, like you said, your old music teacher is now your producer, which is crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, so he was like my private music teacher. Growing up, so he taught me guitar and piano and music theory as well. And he's definitely more of like a friend to me too. Like he ended up becoming my producer, and he was like my boss for a little bit too. I taught music lessons at the same studio with him, so he was my boss too, which is funny. But yeah, so I do all of my recording with him, and it was recorded in Stratford. So yeah,
that's cool. Does he have just a home studio, or is it actual, like, is it a studio that anybody can?
Yeah, he has a space, so it's called Intune Audio in Stratford, and it used to be just out of his home, but he's expanded now, so he has a space for it, which is nice. But
awesome.
Cool. All right, I have a question for you that's related to music, but it's completely in a way off topic. But my wife was like, "You can't ask this." I'm like, "Listen, I'll phrase it in a way that's appropriate, and you probably know what's coming." How many people have asked you, "Do you know Justin Bieber?"
A lot of people. A lot. And it's so funny. I've never met Justin Bieber, and I know I've had friends that have just kind of seen him in passing, and it was a huge deal. I remember when he came to Stratford with Selena Gomez years and years ago. That was a huge deal. But yeah, it's funny, like you just kind of hear stories from around Stratford, but I've never met him.
Yeah. No, I don't know him. My wife was like, "You can't ask that." And she's like, "She probably gets asked that all the time." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to rephrase it in a way that."
It's a good question.
How was out of curiosity, how are you going to phrase it originally?
No. My
Bieber, Justin, you know?
Yeah. My wife name is Rachael as well. So I don't want you. I was like, "Oh, Rachael said," but I am Rachael. No, she just said, because we were joking about it, and I said, "Oh, you know, I wonder how." My question was like, "I wonder how many times it's been asked to you." And she's like, "Well, you can't ask that." I was like, "Well, I have to. It's now in my brain. I just got to get it out."
I'm from Stratford. You kind of have to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
It's just interesting, right? Like, hey, everyone that's like, "Oh, you're Canadian. Do you know this, right? Do you know John? You know John Smith from Newfoundland?" Yeah, I do. I sure do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. He went to my high school, I guess, for a little bit, but
for a little bit.
Yeah, not when I was there. So
is he on the wall? Do they have a wall of like Justin Bieber?
One of the teachers does. I'm not sure if it's still up. But one of the teachers, I guess, that had him as a student had a wall. Wow. I remember that was dedicated to him, but I'm not sure if it's still there today. Yeah. But
yeah. No, anyways, and we're just getting back to like the studio, right? I just
wanted to the EP,
back to the EP in the studio. But that's Andrew and I were talking about, like where you'd record it, whether it was in London and using everything with Western. But it makes perfect sense, obviously, with that connection. Obviously with your music teacher, and then having that job and then being able to record it in the studio, which is sweet. So then the other thing is what you said about obviously him teaching you piano and guitar. Did you record everything on that album and then put it together and mix it, or did he play anything on there? Is it a band?
Yeah, so Jaron Camp from St. Mary's, which is it's in between Stratford and London.
Yeah. We know.
We do. I almost funny story. I almost so the golf course in the Tubing Hill in St. Mary's. Yeah. So anyone that you don't know it, Andrew?
I know. I listen. I don't. St. Mary's to me is I know of it. I know where I can point out on a map.
I'm sorry, Rachel. I apologize for.
It's okay.
Anyways, so I get you're from Toronto, technically.
I'm from Toronto. I don't. Like, we don't like. You're lucky if you know where it is. You're lucky if you know where St. Mary's is.
I'm pretty sure it was a work function, actually, like your work function. I'm pretty sure is why we went there. It could be. I could be wrong. Anyways, I almost bailed into hit a tree going up because it was snowy and lost control. Yeah. Anyway,
no.
I know exactly where St. Mary's is. It's burned in my memory, and it's
traumatic experience.
Traumatic experience, exactly. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So Jaron Camp, from St. Mary's, actually, I play a lot of shows with him around in the area as well. But he played guitar on the EP, and then Charlie was my producer. We kind of handled the rest and that sort of thing. Like I played piano on the EP, and it's a lot of synthesizers and that sort of thing. So a lot of it was just kind of the both of us playing around with stuff and seeing what we liked and seeing what we didn't. And all of our drums except for Killing Time were done on the synthesizers as well.
Sweet.
But Brad Canning out of Stratford did the drums on Killing Time.
So. Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat. You can't even tell.
You couldn't know. It was,
our whole album is on programmed drums through MIDI, and my old drummer, I showed him when we had our single "Fix Me Out." I said not Carlin, but my drummer from Toronto. Like I haven't talked to the guy in years, but he messaged me because the band was doing stuff. Say, what's going on? I'm like, hey, and he's like, I like your single. Who played drums on it? I'm like, it's programmed. He's like, shut up. I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, I couldn't even tell. I'm like, it's amazing what you can do, and it's a lot easier because recording drums live is such a hard thing to do to get a good quality sound. And you got to know work with the mics, and you got to know to mix every individual part of it perfectly. So when we were in the problem where we didn't have a drummer, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to use synth. We didn't know how to use anything when we started this, and that was what got us into it, and then we've used it for cello, used it for everything. And all our songs have something in it that is through that, and it's a beautiful thing.
Not us.
It's not, you just we fake it but until we make it. But so I couldn't tell, and I thought I was curious as to if you use anyone at UWO on your album, because you have the good thing about it is you have people who are interested in music who you can just kind of borrow from. I don't know if that's how it works, but you could borrow from. So that one of the things we thought, because you have harmonies in your song, and that's all you layered.
Sure it was all you layered, or was it other people?
That was all me as well.
Wow. Okay. It's awesome. I was trying to see, I was listening. I'm like, is it you, or is there another person? Is another vocalist? But
for sure, I would have loved. I think it'll be interesting in the future to kind of have more people, and there's definitely people at Western that could do it. It's a classical music program, but everyone's kind of musically, they kind of expand a lot out into this sort of thing too.
Right.
With COVID, it was a little tough, so it was all just kind of done with minimal people as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It'll be cool in the future to see if I can. Yeah.
So you're live when you can go live, whenever this happens. Is it going to be? Are you going to do kind of just by yourself? Or are you going to try and get a band behind you? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Like I said, I do a lot with Jaron Camp, so we do a lot of duo sort of stuff, and we play a lot of covers as well. Like we'll do like Bob Dylan covers and other folk kind of covers and that sort of thing.
Cool.
But he goes to Humber, so he has a couple friends through Humber that we could kind of form a band that way too. And that's been something that we've been wanting to do just for a couple live shows here and there. So when things start opening up, that would be pretty cool. But
that'd be kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate because I know in London we'd have like Sunfest in Home County and all these other festivals that would be just happening, and but I've heard that they've all pretty much pulled the plug already on them. So it'll be pretty much small local shows, I'm assuming, for the remainder of this summer, which is unfortunate because there really isn't, as you probably already know, not a ton of places to play in London, really.
No, not too many, and it's I think with COVID it's a lot more tough.
It's gonna be a lot less. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot less. Yeah.
I wonder. So actually, from being from Stratford and obviously playing a few shows in Stratford, do you find that there's more like smaller places to play in Stratford than there is in London?
It's hard to say. I don't know if I've researched enough of London places to kind of know. But I've been playing the Red Lion Room once a month in Stratford, and they do different music kind of every night, which is good. And then there's definitely a few bars in Stratford that have live music too. So I'm not too sure in comparison to London though, if it would be easier to get gigs.
Like I know, and don't get me wrong, like I mean for anyone that's in London listening to this, and I'm not trying to put our city down but I know there's other places, like I know a lot of the pubs and breweries and that have live music, but I past that, unless you're hitting up you're hitting up London Music Hall or Rum Runners or something along those lines, it's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, for sure.
I think last time I was in Stratford, I don't know when it was, it might have been at the end of summer of last year, when COVID numbers started going up again. I was in Stratford and I think I was going to go to the Red Line. Is it Red Line Room?
Yeah, Red Line.
That's it's called Red Line Room. I think I was going to go there, but they wouldn't let me in because they checked IDs. Because if you weren't from Stratford, they weren't going to let you in. And I called to see, and they were like, "Yeah, we're checking IDs." And I think I was going to go there for dinner actually, and then I couldn't.
Too bad.
That's not a terrible idea though.
No, I got it. I ended up going to, I don't remember where I went. It was I don't know, but yeah, I was going to go there, and they do have music every night. Well, they used to, I guess, right? And
I think they do. I'm pretty sure it's still every night, but I could be wrong. It might just be weekends. I usually play there on Saturday nights because I can just go. But I'm not sure if it's every night or what it is, but it's pretty nice. Like they have a nice setup for live music there.
I wish I went.
Cool.
Wish I went. That sucks. That sucks.
Hopefully sometime.
Well, the good thing is at least it's not one of the venues that's closed. So that's kind of the nice thing, is at least it's still open, and eventually one day be able to get there. How did you get into music? Because I think I read that you're fairly young.
Yes, I was very young. My family was not musical at all. And it was actually my elementary school music teacher that went up to my parents and said that I should start taking classical singing lessons. And they kind of thought it was like funny because I don't like, I probably like to sing as a child, but like it wasn't anything serious, and a lot of kids like to sing and everything. So so they agreed, and they were like, well, this maybe Rachel will like doing this, and I did, and that was good. So that was my first exposure to opera and everything too, and I loved it, and that stuck with me since then. And then the guitar and the piano kind of just came later, I think, as I started to enjoy music. I just decided I wanted to start learning other instruments and that sort of thing, and then the songwriting came after I started picking up some other instruments. So
does the songs, are they all like personal experiences, or are they just like something you witnessed, or just like a nice story?
Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
They're all personal experiences. I think the only song I have released that wasn't totally based on an entire experience was Fragile, actually, which was interesting. But obviously I still took inspiration from past experiences, but I didn't have one specific thing in mind. I just thought that was something that everyone kind of goes through, like that beginning of a relationship when like you don't want to mess anything up and you're like, oh, do I say this? Do I not say this? And that sort of thing. And I just like, that was something that was really relatable. And I thought like that would be so cool to just write a song for the sake of writing a song and not because I'm like sad or angry or something like that. So so that's the only song that I've released that wasn't based on one set experience, but everything else is pretty autobiographical. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's it's really neat. And then what because I know you had the first release in 2000, I think it was 19, right? Your first EP. And then I know you said some of the songs do you have and then did you re-release on your new EP or no?
No, I didn't.
It was all new, right? It's all new. Yeah.
It was all new. Yeah. So I had 3 songs and 3 of my own songs and an Arcade Fire cover on the first EP.
The Suburbs, right?
Yes, the Suburbs.
There it is.
I feel like such an idiot now. Because I was like, man, I know that song too. That makes total sense.
I changed it a lot. It sounds very different
because it's like 6 minutes long, right? 6 or 7 minutes long. It's a very long song.
Yeah, that one was definitely like that. Again, it was like a fun thing that I ended up just doing in one of my music lessons. We were like, what if we took a song and totally changed it? And so that was what we did with the Suburbs. And I definitely wasn't thinking in my head that I would be releasing that anywhere when I was making it and recording it and everything. It was just like a fun kind of experiment. And then when I started recording the rest of the EP, I decided to throw it on there as well. So
Are you thinking about, because I know you said you play other covers too when you're playing, are you thinking about maybe recording some of those and putting them on at all?
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently, actually. I thought that would be interesting to release some more covers and even like make them a collection, but that's obviously, oh no.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know.
Mike is falling.
No, I bumped it up because I have, my depth is like, I'm dumb. But go ahead, sorry. No, don't mind me.
Yeah, there's no set plans right now to release any covers, but it's something I would like to do. Well, because
by doing the kind of and we just recorded Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. I don't know if you know that 90s track or not.
I don't think I do.
Okay,
no.
It was a staple as a 90s kid anyways. But we've recorded it and set to release it in April. But that was kind of our, our thought process is to make it not a full cover in terms of sounding the exact same, like change it and make it kind of our own, right? Still keeping elements that are in it, that are staples in it. But and then there's a band up in Wasaga Beach, 12 years today, and they just did a Pink cover, Who Knew? And they're a metal, more of a metal, right? They metal, right? Andrew?
Yeah, they're metal,
rock,
and they thinking about being like being a metal band and covering a song. It's such a smart choice because
it is.
It's completely different.
Yeah,
and they made their own style, and it's a great cover.
It's a great cover.
I'm all about those. I'm all about taking a song like that, like you were saying, Rachel, and changing completely to fit your style, which I think is like I thought it'd be so easy to do that, and it's really not easy to do that. We did that one song. I came so easy. I've been trying. I've been like dabbling with different songs, and it's not coming. Says there's a thin line between doing a complete cover of just like I cover the song. It's exactly the same. I just took it like same time signature, everything. But then there's something to be said about like making your own, and it becomes like one of your songs where people are like, that's great, right? So it's tough. It's tough to take an already successful song and like changing it to be like.
Oh, we tried. I mean, we tried. I think I think it's dead now. But we were trying Driver's License at one point.
I tried too. Driver's License on my end. I tried. I put on piano. Actually, I copied, but there's already piano in the song, so it's already just like you're just copying it. Anyway, so I tried to make it our own, but it's tough. It was tough, and then I moved on with my life. So not saying it won't happen. I just saying it's not gonna happen this week.
For sure. Yeah, it's like I find it's kind of like a whole other way of songwriting too. Like it's probably something like a muscle that you have to like work and practice at to get a bit more comfortable with making it your own and that sort of thing. Like the Suburbs was, I think, the first song that I really did that with. So I don't know how well it would go if I picked a new song today and tried to make it my own.
Yeah. I think the problem is you have to make it so different in a way, unless you're going for a straight cover, and then like if you nail it, it's like, okay, cool. But you have to make it in a way where someone hears it and doesn't go like, this is shit compared to the original. And that's kind of that's the fine line. Like if you want to make it your own, but like someone's like, I see what you did there, but this is so much worse than the original song. You know what I mean? And I think that's like, I can write a song right now and like not worry about that. But when you're covering a song, I think that worry is there. It's like someone loves the original and they heard this, would they be like, this is embarrassing? You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough. And I never thought that. I thought cover songs just like, I get, you know, like, oh, we'll do a cover song, it's easy, blah, blah, blah. But it's not. There's a lot more pressure because everyone's like, oh, I love that song. Let me hear your version. It's like, oh, this is shit, you know, and that's you know what I mean? And
we don't like this.
And I would hate for someone to hear the cover song before they hear any of our songs and not like the cover song and be like, oh, fuck these guys, right? Or love the cover song and go to our stuff and go, oh, this is shit, do more covers. So
I know.
Yeah, it's you can't keep anybody happy. That's the whole thing. It's so hard to keep anybody happy.
That's it. Yeah. It's definitely I feel like it's stressful when there's like so much hype around one of the songs too, like when it's a very well-known song, like I feel like I kind of think about it in that way too, like even songs that I pick to cover to just play live, I'm like, how big is this song that people are going to be angry if I really screw it up?
That's a good point, actually. Like even if it's a somebody like Bob Dylan, but you take something that is not, obviously not a I mean, maybe I would say Bob Dylan songs are probably all well known, but like you said, not one that's popular in terms of radio play, let's say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's a smart move, is trying to pick one that's kind of a little bit out there. People will know, some people will know it, but for the most part, they're not going to put it right up against the original. So
yeah,
it's a good one.
I tried a Backstreet Boys song to rock it up, to be honest with you.
Did you try? Really?
Yeah, man. I took
you hid that well.
Well, I didn't want to tell you because it sucked, but I wrote so I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna go in the 90s.
Now hold on, Rachel, do you know who the Backstreet Boys are?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay, good.
Because we had
I forgot.
Because we did have I forgot who we had on, and we were like, oh no, and then we were trying to figure out what the comparable would have been, and I think we came up with
One Direction.
One Direction.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fair comparison. Yeah.
Anyways,
for sure.
Took us a while to get there. But so yeah, I was looking at like 90s pop songs. I think that like, so I don't want to do like a nice, originally I want to do a 90s rock song and then cover it, but I was like, but people always say we sound 90s, then we're gonna do a 90s rock song. It's like too close. So I was like, you know what? I look at 90s pop. So I took Shape of My Heart by Backstreet Boys. Yeah. And I kept the piano as is, how the song starts. And I actually, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I fucking nailed it on piano. And so I still have it, but so I had the piano verse and I had drums behind it. And it was like such a cool, like jungle drum. It was like just toms, and it was so cool. But then when I played it back, I was like, it's still going to be a ballad. And it's still going to sound like you're going to have to sing like a Backstreet Boy, Nate. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
No.
Like, baby, you're going to do that, And I was like, I don't know. And then I got in my own head. I was like, I closed the program, and I turned my lights off, and I left the room. But yeah, so I had that.
Someday you'll go back.
Maybe I'll go back. I don't know.
Know.
But
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So I had to have more rock here. I kept it it was too ballady pop. Boy band pop. I didn't really change it enough to be. I mean, I had the cool drums, but other than that, but
the piano.
Yeah, the piano. Yeah, but I was so impressed. I don't play piano, but I've learned in this lockdown. I just learned how to Google.
YouTube University.
Yeah, and I just like and then I put it all together to nail a piano, and the piano shows up on our album, and it's almost to the point where if we play live, we want to keep some of the real shit on the album. We're gonna have to get someone to play piano or something, right? Rachel, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, I love piano on tracks.
Yeah, me too. I love it. It's so pretty.
I love the keys.
Yeah.
I wish I learned it.
Yeah, I know. I did. It's funny because I played piano as a kid. but I just haven't really picked. I actually have a keyboard over here. The kids play it all the time. My kids play it all the time. Yeah, actually went back and started playing a little bit, and I was like, I wouldn't say it's like riding a bike, but
no.
Yeah. The classical piano pieces always stressed me out when I was learning them. And I needed it for my degree. Like I needed my Royal Conservatory grade 6 piano. So so that was always the one thing that I really didn't like. I think I had some bad like performance competition experiences with piano as a child, and it set me up in my head. But the like chords and stuff, I've always liked writing at the piano too. Like I'll just sit down sometimes and write at the piano, which I like. But
that's so cool. That's why I wish I had played piano. Nothing is cooler than sitting down, a glass of wine, or piano, and just fucking going. That's it's such a cool tool, and I really regret not learning it when I was younger.
I think I did grade 1 or something out of conservatory. And then at one point, whatever the point was, when you can't go, you need to go from a keyboard to some type of like grand piano. You need something bigger. Is when I was like, peace out. We lived in an apartment, so it just didn't seem feasible. And then and then my parents, I'm the same. I'm not like, my parents are not musically inclined, or they weren't. It didn't come from a music background necessarily, but they always wanted me to do something.
Exactly.
Have to be sport related either. So it was usually a sport in the summer because my dad is older and wouldn't stand standing in an arena and not being cold. So it was music in the winter. So it was usually piano the first shot and then guitar after. And then I just got sick and tired of lessons, and I was like, I'm done with this. So
that's the problem. Yeah, for sure. And it's finding a teacher that you kind of click with too. Like I think I went through a lot of music teachers before I found ones that I really liked a lot and that sort of thing as well. But
I think you're right. And I mean, I think like Andrew said, I wish I'd continued though, and this goes for anyone. I don't care who you are out there, a young kid listening or whatnot, you'll always look back and go, man, I wish I kept going with that. Doesn't matter what it is. There's always something. So.
It just can't be seen as a chore, right? And that's what Rachael has said. You need to find the right teacher, because if it's a chore, no one wants to do it, right? It's got to be like, it's got to feel like, you got to feel like you're connecting with the person, and it's not just you're doing it because your parents want you to take an hour and do it. And Rachael, you said your parents wanted to get you in. You're like, oh, but you really took to it, that's great.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really nice, and they never like forced me. They wanted to see if I would like it to try it out. But even growing up, it was never something that once I was doing it that I was kind of forced to stay in. And I think that's why I ended up just genuinely liking it so much, because I was able to like it on my own terms and that sort of thing without pressure from other people. And I didn't grow up around it, which I think is kind of helpful too. Like I think sometimes growing up in a very musical household would be a good thing, but I think other times maybe
the
not so much.
On, right?
When the pressure's on, for sure. So I was very lucky that way. But
is everybody super impressed at UWO? I mean, like, I know you're in COVID, but are they super impressed with like what you're doing? Because like you ever meet someone in UWO, you're like, hey, I'm on Spotify and there's a bunch of streams yesterday, no big deal. Like, is that like that's what I would talk about all the time.
No, it's funny. Like I have some friends that are doing the same thing at Western, so it's not too unheard of, but I always find it funny. Like my friends sometimes say, like, how are you promoting an EP and releasing it right now when you're still doing assignments on the side? And I didn't think about it too much, because with COVID, like a lot of our courses are asynchronous, so it hasn't felt as demanding this year compared to last year when I would be at the building like all day, like from 9:30 to 4:30 or whatever. So it's kind of been nice. Like I feel like I've had the extra time to write and promote and do what I need to do, but it's just kind of funny that they think they're like, how do you have time for that somehow?
And you're like, this skill, maybe you'll learn it one day. That's what I would say. That'd be my line,
Yeah, I had like a 45-minute bus ride, 50-minute bus ride to Western every day when I went, and there were some online courses. I think I had one where I did they didn't call it a thesis paper, but I forget what they called it, but it was sweet because I only had to show up 3 times for the entire semester. It was like to show a rough copy and then to like meet one more time, and then it was a final copy, and that was it.
Yeah, you really have to stay on top of your work.
That's the only thing. Exactly. You can't leave it to the last minute.
For
So you
sure.
gotta
Yeah.
be
And that,
disciplined.
it's tough even finding like assignments that are due. That took a little bit to get used to, because now we don't have like, we have some Zoom lectures that are scheduled every single week, but there's other classes that we just don't, like we have an occasional lecture here and there, but it's just a lot of work that you do on your own time.
Yeah, do on your own time. Do you have anything else coming? Like, I know you just dropped obviously this EP. Do you have anything else in the works coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm writing a lot. I'm always writing, so there's that. Nothing new.
Nothing recorded,
yeah. I think I'm planning on recording in a cabin in the spring, which is very exciting.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. So I'm very excited, and it's kind of sneak peeks. It'll be a long time away, I think, before anything really comes of that. But that will be the next thing, which will be exciting.
That'd be cool.
I fucking love that idea, dude. We should do that, man. We should go to a cabin and just
would
write.
You be willing? Are you willing to share where the cabin is? Is it like Muskoka area?
It is Muskoka area.
Oh,
yes.
We got a stalker in our hands, it looks like.
No, I was just like, okay, if I was thinking, if I was just like, I'm thinking like, if we were going to do it or something, like I've been up to the Muskokas once at a cottage, and it blew me away. Like every morning you look out, you're on the water. It's just unbelievable.
It's so cool. Yeah.
I actually want to do that. Rachel, you've inspired me tremendously. I think because Nay and I, we've done everything we've done, and we have like an album and like a half worth of songs, and everything we've done has been like this. Like I would record in this room, and Nate would record in that room, and then we would send it back and forth, and then we just mix it, and then that song's done. And it'd be cool for the first time we could record an album where we're
like a cool,
and like we get a cool spot, and we just go and we just record there. I mean, for the first 3 days we'd be drunk and just like shooting shit, but like you know, well, we really.
Oh shit! We only have a night left.
Yeah, we got to start writing. It'd be so cool to like just have that experience, because that'd be like totally opposite of what we did for this, you know, this last year. And I would really love that. That's cool.
Really cool. That's really
yeah. I'm excited. It's and I've heard of a lot of musicians that like Taylor Swift just did that with Folklore, and Bon Iver did that, and so I've always thought that was a cool idea to go for a week. And
you just need a lot of rich people who that's like that's just like, oh, I'm bored, I'm gonna go to get a cottage, I guess, and then record. But like but it seems like the way to go. It seems like you put everything behind you, you get to focus on what you're doing, and it'd be so interesting what you could pull from that, and like the inspiration from where you are and what you could pull from that, and how that will translate into your newer songs. It's cool. I think that I want to do that, and I think that
I look forward to hearing what you can come up with too.
Yeah, I'm gonna call COVID, see how long I stick around for, and make Hey man, all you're here for. Outdone, you're welcome. Right. That's awesome. That's pretty dope.
We're pretty much out of time. It's just crazy how quick this has gone. It's insane. Where can everyone find you, Rachel? Do you want to plug your social media stuff? Where can everyone?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on Instagram, kind of the main social media I use, and that's just Rachael Frankruyter.
Ruyter.
Yep.
Ruyter. Just so people know. Go on.
Yeah, and Rachael with AEL at the end. That's kind of different too.
Yeah.
That's true. But so that's the main social media I use, and I'm on Spotify and Apple Music and that sort of thing as well. So
and I encourage everyone to take a listen. So,
and you have a website?
Thank you. Yes, and I have a website as well. So all my links are in my Instagram bio as well. You can scroll through there.
Go there. Awesome. And is that where you're doing the live shows every once in a while too? Are you doing them on IG?
Yes, I've done them mainly. I've had a couple, or I guess just one I've done through Zoom as well, but they're mainly on Instagram. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So look out for those.
Wicked.
And if you're in the Stratford area, obviously take a listen and enjoy. So,
or London, wherever.
Or London.
Exactly. Or the world. So Spotify, whatever. Or the world.
Wherever you are.
Wherever. Music's easy. Music. All right. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
All right.